Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, guys. Welcome to our lesson today. We will study lesson 9, reading, page 12 and 13. Before reading, look at these pictures and try to tell me what are the different means of communication. Do you know? Yes, Ayman?
In the past, you see in the picture two mans have smoking the sky, like we see.
Yeah.
That in the past. Now we have GPS to have location, SMS to message another people. We have a lot of things you can communication
Emails.
with other people.
Yeah. Emails, SMS, message on WhatsApp. All these
Yes.
are means of communication nowadays. But in the past, they used different means of communication. They used to use this kind of communication using smoke. Okay, they were using smoke to send the message, and also in some places they used to use this kind of communication, which is called drum talk or drummer talk. Okay, as we will see when we read the text. Okay, now before reading the text, let's have a look to the important words in this text. Here are some words and phrases in the text. The first one is parallel. Parallel, okay, means extending in the same direction. Parallel. And dialect. Dialect means variety of a language spoken by people in a geographical area. Dialect. Parallel, dialect. Simulate. Simulate means assume that or assume the likeness of. Simulate. Widespread. Widespread means over a large area. Revolution. Revolution means big change. Big change. Nonsense. Nonsense means without meaning. And sites means locations. Transmit message means sending message or send message. And take care to this tran. Tran is a prefix. Prefix يعني ضمن الأحرف اللي بتيجي في بعض الكلمات في البداية زي transport, transmit and so on. Okay. معناها بتيجي بمعنى send أو يرسل. تلاقي دايما مع كلمات في البداية transport, transmit, transfer and so on. Okay. Again, these words parallel, parallel, dialect, dialect, people, simulate, simulate, widespread, widespread, revolution, nonsense, nonsense, sites, sites, transmit message, transmit message. Who can repeat them? Okay, Ahmed?
Parallel means extend. Dialect, simulate, widespread, revolution, nonsense, sites, transmit message.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed. Now, let's listen to the text. Read the passage and find all the 10 sentences that tell about the different means of communication. Compare what you found with a partner. Let's listen.
From smoke signals to email, keeping in touch. From the Stone Age to the present, people have shown a desire to send messages to one another over long distances. In ancient times, according to one story, a chain of fires on mountaintops was used to relate the news of the fall of Troy to the people in Greece. In the past, native people in the Americas used smoke from fires to transmit messages. They developed a code in which certain combinations of smoke rising had special meanings. For example, two parallel columns of smoke indicated they developed a code in which certain combinations of smoke rising had special meanings. For example, two parallel columns of smoke indicated the successful return of a war party.
The ancient Greeks established lines of signal towers at mountaintops. At each one, a large fire was lit to transmit a signal to the next tower, and in this way, information was passed on through the land. Also, almost anything that makes a noise has been used for signaling. A kind of drum talk is still used in Central Africa today, although few who are not natives have been able to understand it. The sender uses a drum that can produce a high or low tone. Because the local dialect alternates in these tones, the sender is able to simulate speech with the drums.
In modern times, people have communicated by letter, telegraph, and telephone. But no one method has become as widespread as quickly as the use of email. The first email message took place in 1971. According to its sender, Ray Tomlinson, it was probably the following: QWERTYUIOP. What was significant about that? Nothing really. This is just the top row of keys on an English language keyboard. Tomlinson was just testing out the system and using a nonsense message. He had no concept that he was going to start a revolution in communication. Tomlinson was one of a group of scientists who were working on developing better computers. The scientists at his site were able to send a message to a mailbox on the computer on their site. Other scientists could view the message in the mailbox. But there were other computers at other sites where scientists were working on the same project. Tomlinson's idea was to figure out a way to deliver messages to mailboxes on those remote computers. He used the @ sign to identify messages that were headed out of the local machine to the more distant ones. That was the start of the emailing system that we still use today. At first, the number of people on email was small, but by the end of the 20th century, there were 263 million email boxes. In the 21st century, that figure has grown to over 2 billion, and the functions of email services in the future will become more and more diversified. And text messaging on cell phones is also increasing, so people can in effect be in constant touch with people who are long distances away.
Okay. What does the reading say about fire and signaling? Okay, you can find the answer in the first part here. Okay, who can pick up the answer? Okay, Ahmed.
The successful return of a war party.
Thank you, Ahmed. Fire was used in ancient Greece to pass information through the land. They used it as a means of communication. Okay. Second question is, how does the drummer simulate speech? By changing the tone. Okay, he changed the tone of the drum to send message or to simulate speech. Simulate speech means to imitate، يعني يقلد، تمام، أو يحاكي. Next question. Why did Tomlinson want to develop email? Why? Yes, Ayman?
Okay. He had a concept that he was going to start a revolution in communication.
Okay, thank you, Ayman. Listen to the answer. Tomlinson wanted to develop the email so as to be in touch with his group in work. Okay, look at this paragraph. Tomlinson was one of a group of scientists who were working on developing better computer. The scientists at his site were able to send a message to a mailbox on the computer on their site. Other scientists could view the message in the mailbox, but there were other computers at other sites where scientists were working on the same project. Tomlinson's idea was to figure out a way to develop message to mailbox on other remote computer. He used the @ sign to identify messages that were heard out of the local machine to the more distant other. So the main purpose of his develop the email is to communicate with other scientists working with him. Okay, next question. Does the author of the article think email will become even more popular? Read the last paragraph and answer with yes or no. At first, the number of people on email was small, but by the end of the 18th century, there were 263 million email boxes. In the 21st century, that figure has grown to over 2 billion, and the function of email services in the future will become more and more diversified. And text messaging on cell phone is also increasing, so people can in fact be in constant touch. In constant touch means in continuous touch، يعني في تواصل مستمر with people who are looking or are long distance away. So the answer is yes. Okay, yes, he thought or he thinks that email will become even more popular. Now let's complete this exercise. Number 1. People have shown a need to communicate with one another since. Yes, Ayman?
Okay, people have shown a need to communicate with one another since the Stone Age.
Yes, very good, Ayman. The Stone Age. Number 2. When Native Americans saw 2 columns of smoke, they knew that a war party was returning and that it was successful. Number 3. Although drums are used in Central Africa to communicate messages, only a few non-natives, of course, can understand the drum language. Number 4. When Tomlinson sent his first message, he wasn't thinking of starting a revolution in communication. Number 5. Although email only began in the 1970s, by the end of the 20th century, yes, there were 263 million email boxes. Last questions. Nowadays, millions of people are used to being in a constant touch with people who are long distances away. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and see you next lesson. Inshallah. Goodbye.